carefully, and then we will look into these things. This is very, very, very important, because the reason why professional organization, professional bodies brought about technology into the curriculum is that the future of the organization's activities are all dependent on the technological updates. So you will also be joining organizations where technology is adopted at large scale. So you should be aware of. So your position is someone of an expert, a management accountant expert, or some kind of a specialized role. Uh, See, you have to have that thorough knowledge about multiple aspects of the organization, because you are the one who would be providing information. You are the one who would be providing details, explanation, um, uh, understanding about different aspects of it. So it's very easy that someone would approach you for better understanding. So you are in a position where uh, you would be in a position in the examination where every aspect of it is addressed to you. So you have to have an answer for that. See, that someone who has a knowledge about multiple aspects is what is uh, expected or required of you. You also have to learn that. You also have to learn that um, because you have to advise someone in the organization, explain something to the people in the organization, etc. So the first aspect what we learn about is the concept of big data. Carefully follow this one. What's the concept of big data? What is big data? Anyone in the class? I don't know whether I will get an answer. Um, Not that you do not know the answer, but I don't get a response. On that note, I'm asking. But anyone knows anything? One small line, half a line also. What is big data? Any idea about what is the meaning of big data? Don't know is also an answer. I At least they don't know, no? Then I will not wait. That's good. Okay. The concept of big data, because PM it was done, no? That's why I asked you. We have, I mean, the topic of big data is included in PM. Therefore, I asked. So it's okay, no problem if you don't know. See, the base for decision making, how decisions can be taken, decisions can be taken based on the information that is provided. Now, what is information? From where would they get information? Um, information is basically processed data. So data has to be acquired. Conventionally, the data was acquired from internal sources, external sources. Internal sources, the registers, records that were maintained. From that, the data was taken and it was provided. That is processed, analyzed, and provided as analysis to the management. Management would take decisions. So one source is internal, another source is external data. External data, that data that is published by government sources, private sources, some published data is external sources of data. See, conventionally it was only these two sources of data that were available, and these data was processed, made into information. Information was analyzed, and the analysis was provided to the management so that management would take decisions based on that. Now we have a third source. The third source of data is the transmitted source. That is, when the data is transmitted from one smart device to another smart device, the data is now possible to be captured by the seller. The seller is now able to capture the data when it is being transmitted on the internet through the smart device. From the smart devices, when the messages are sent to another smart device, as they are being transmitted, also the data is able to be captured. Okay. Best way to understand how do they what actually happens, see, there are digital marketing tools that are available, that with those tools it becomes possible to capture what the customer is looking for. You must have experienced this. See, when you search for something on the internet, in the next few days you will see advertisements on various sites popping up related to the search item which you were searching on the internet. See, how do they understand that you are looking for that piece of information which you were searching on the search engine was captured by the seller. So the sellers are now trying to contact the customers through these advertisements and providing the information about what are the features of the products, the price, etc. The other aspects of it also are communicated. That was able to know the expectation of the customer and addressing the requirement of the customer. Okay. Likewise, see, now the data, when it is transmitted, if it is captured, the volume of data, the quantity of data, the amount of data that is captured automatically becomes very big, huge in size, because we know that there are many multiple devices that are connected to the internet. There are many smart devices, and these devices are now of late, it's very easy to be connected to the internet. Many people now own a smart device, and as the data is being transmitted, it is all captured by the sellers. Sellers do understand what is the requirement, and then cater to the requirement of the customers. So many devices, the the volume of data is also huge, as huge that, so as huge that it cannot be stored on the storage devices of the organization. If it cannot be stored on the storage device, then the data becomes big in size, big data. So if it cannot be stored on a laptop, that data becomes big data for the laptop. If it cannot be stored on the mobile phone, for the mobile phone, for the device, it is big in size. Okay, it cannot be stored on the storage capacity. It's not sufficient to store the data. So the data becomes big in size, big data. So it crosses the capacity which can be stored. So it is called as big data. So the point is, why are they capturing the data? The capturing of the data is to understand the customers and cater to the requirements of the customers. But just mere capturing is not sufficient. This data also has to be analyzed. Only on analysis, some interpretation would be drawn, and based on that, the requirements of the customers can be understood and accordingly can be catered to that. So there are big data softwares now available which are able to process that large volume of data. That big data also is now possible to be processed very easily. There are attributes of big data. Here in the slide there are only 3 given. Technically, actually you should remember 4, because the material talks about 4 characteristics of big data, but the very recent one talks about as there are 5 V's of big data. The first V, the characteristics are given in the form of V's: volume, velocity, variety, and for actually there is a fourth V called as veracity. The first attribute or the first characteristics of big data, characteristic of big data is the volume is large in size. The data is big, as big that it cannot be stored on the storage device of the organization. Size is big, therefore it is big. Volume is large. That's the first attribute. Then this data that is big in size, the standard computers earlier to big data analysis, the standard computers were not able to process the data. Standard computers failed to process such large volume of data. But now, with the help of big data softwares that are available, it has become too easy to process the large volume of data at great speed. Very easily, very quickly, the data is processed. So we can quote an example in connection to this. The processing, the velocity or the speed at which the data is processed. So I'll give you an example in this connection. Just let's see. Naveen has started running into and out of the classroom. See, in the stock market, when the trading happens, the data keeps changing by the fraction of seconds. As the trading activities are carried on in the stock market, then there is an impact on the stock prices, etc. So every fraction of second, the values change, the variables change. There is an impact on the price. But when we see that the stock market simultaneously keeps also providing the analysis. Okay, so the velocity, the speed with which the data is processed is so fast, very quickly. Now, how does it happen? See, the processing is not taken up with the static data, the data that is updated until a particular point of time, take into account and process that. That is not the case. But here it also updates the data. When the processing happens, it updates the data. After updating the data, the analysis also is taken up very quickly. The speed is quite high. The speed with which the data is processed. That's the second V. Second V is about the velocity, the speed with which the data is processed. Then the third V is about variety. The data that is captured is in various forms. Variety of data is captured, which is analyzed. Okay. Anyway, the quantitative data anyway is analyzed. So the data that is in the form of facts and figures, the numbers, the quantitative terms, it's easy to analyze. But then the data comes in variety of forms. See, unstructured and unstructured. What are examples of unstructured data? Something like an audio message, a video message, a picture, an image, a social media text. These are also different forms of data, unstructured data. So such kind of data is also processed, variety of data. First attribute is the volume of data is very big, large in size. Okay, volume is big. Then we see the speed with which that large volume of data is processed is also at very high speed. The data comes in a variety of forms. The structured data, which is already arranged in rows and columns. The unstructured data, which is not only in the quantitative form, it is also in the qualitative form. We see that unstructured data are examples are an audio message, a video message, a social media text, a posting on the social media, um, anything, a personal interview, anything could be an image, a picture, that also could be data. See, the big data then will be able to analyze these types of data also. An audio message can be analyzed, a video message can be analyzed. So on understanding that those forms of data, on analyzing those forms of data, some kind of a trend is picked out of that data, and then later on that is used to process the data further. So variety of forms in which the data comes. Fourth one is again another important one, talks about veracity. Veracity is the genuinity of the data, or the data which is processed should be validated for its genuinity or its truthfulness. That is the veracity. Veracity concept is the data that is captured should be genuine. We know that the uh, data that is available on the internet of late, we see that a major part of it is around about 50% of the data is all fake data, which is not genuine data. So before the processing is to be taken up, it has to be validated for its genuinity. Veracity talks about validating the genuinity of the data. Okay. Then we, in fact, actually, the latest fifth V is about value, whether value to the customers is added or not. So that talks about the fifth V. You remember four, that is sufficient. So the characteristics of big data is called as big data because it is big in size. Why did it become big in sizes? Because there are sources when the data is being transmitted from one smart device to another device. When it is captured, then we see that the data has become big in size, as big that it cannot be as big that it cannot be stored on the storage devices of the organization. Okay, so such kind of data also can be processed with the help of big data softwares. Hadoop is one example with which the data can be processed. So the data is big in size, the volume is big. Second, the speed with which the data is processed is very high. It is not about processing only the static data, but also it considers updation of the data. As the data key gets updated, that updation is also considered, and the processing takes place, and which is done at great speed, high speed, with high at great speed, at high speed, the data is all processed. The data is that is captured is in variety of forms. So it is in the audio form, video form, image form, social media text form, any kind of data. So variety of data, all those types of data also is can be processed with the help of big data. Then before the data is processed, it has to be tested for its genuinity, the veracity. It has to be tested for the genuinity, the truthfulness of the data, validate that, and then process the data. See, if it is fake data, if it is false input, then the output also will be accordingly. So it cannot be trusted upon, or it cannot be relied upon. Therefore, it is important that the truthfulness of the data should be tested first. That is about the veracity. Then we have disruptive technology. There are examples. Because of technology, there is some disruption caused. So disruption is if there is a normal course of business, the activities are carried on in a normal manner. If there is some change brought about, then that is disruption. Okay, the consequences could be favorable consequences only, but there is some unrest, there is some disturbance because of changes that have happened. So that is disruption. So technology has created or caused that disruption in the organization. As a result of that, there are certain benefits that can be derived, but we see that technology has caused the disruption in the organization. So we call that as disruptive technology. So disruption or examples of disruptive technologies, fintech. Fintech is because of technology, there are changes or disruption caused in financial sector, banking sector. So any kind of a disruption that happened in the financial areas, we call that as disruption in fintech. Okay. You must have attended some seminar webinar on fintech, and then you have some knowledge about fintech. See, the technology that is creating some issue, some problem, some disturbance, some changes in the finance sector will be now looked at as am I audible? It's showing something else in the screen. Am I audible? Okay, okay, okay. Suddenly something was showing. So the disruption caused in financial sector, in banking sector, see, things are not taken up in the conventional manner. See, banking services now are at the click of a button. We see that there are so many changes that have happened. See, there were days when people had to wait at the in those long queues at the bank for the transactions to complete. Now, people can take up any kind of a transaction at the click of a button through their mobile phone. Also, they can take it up. See, there are digital payments taken up. There are ways wherein through the internet, with the help of technology, transactions are very easy to be taken up in the financial sector. Trading is now online. Any kind of financial transaction can be taken up online. The banking services are also provided online. To the extent that you don't even have to visit a bank to open your bank account. To that extent, the convenience is there. See, all can be done, all those transactions can be done with the help of technology. So the disruption that has caused in the financial sector and the banking sector is referred to as fintech. Cryptocurrency, see, there is a digital currency. Cryptocurrency is basically a digital currency which is available for those that are dealing with this currency. See, it is useful to take up transactions online. So the advantage with that is the regular cash reserves and funds that are available need not be used to take up the transactions digitally, but they can utilize these cryptocurrencies that are available with them. So it is something like parallelly along with their cash reserves that they can also have another currency, which is cryptocurrency. So more number of transactions can be taken up because they are now provided with additional parallel currency along with that. That's cryptocurrency. Blockchain technology. What is blockchain? See, blockchain is basically a digital ledger which can connect the users across the world. Okay, a digital ledger on the data can be shared with others on the digital ledger. So, how does it actually work? See, Block has multiple phases. If we look into that, so how does it look like? See, block has multiple phases. So let's say that there is first user who gets connected to this digital ledger. So digital ledger, the user, if he shares the data, so data would be shared here on one phase of the block. As soon as the data is shared, this data gets protected when a security code is generated. There is a code that is generated which protects this data from getting disturbed, damaged, or any kind of thing. So no issue would be there. There is complete protection. The data would be protected. No one will be able to modify, delete, add anything to this one. This data shared by the user will be as it is, but because it is on a digital ledger, it is also accessible by others can use that data, can see that, but no one will be able to modify that data, including the user himself. Okay, then let's say to this digital ledger there is a second user also gets connected. Now when a second user gets connected to this digital ledger, the second user also will be able to share the data. Then this data will be stored on one phase of it. So the second user's data gets stored here. Um, as soon as the second user stores the data, to protect his share of data, there is a code generated which protects this data. But now the second user gets connected to the first user's data. So the second user will not be able to make any changes to the first user's data because it is protected by the previous code that is generated to protect the previous data. So now likewise, multiple users can get connected to this digital ledger. It is a centralized data repository. Data can be added by anyone from anywhere in the world. Globally, anybody can get connected to this digital ledger. So it can be referred to as a centralized data repository. Okay, data can be shared on the digital ledger. So based on that, some digital transactions are also can be taken up. Okay, coming to the protection, if we talk about it as a secured way of sharing the data, what about see, anyway, because it is protected with the code, no one will be able to alter that, including the user himself also cannot alter that. Then the protection is there in terms of not getting disrupted, not getting damaged, deleted, modified, anything. That is all not possible. That part of it, the security part of it, is taken care of. What if it gets deleted? That's another issue. See, as the data is being stored on the or shared on the digital ledger, simultaneously in thousands of locations and thousands of servers across the world, this digital ledger gets saved. So the chance of the data being deleted also is ruled out. So protection is at its highest form. The digital ledger gets saved in multiple locations simultaneously, so that safety is there. So transactions can be taken up on the internet. Anybody can get connected through the digital ledger with any other person in the across the world. So that is the kind of disruption that has happened because of technology. So these are few examples how changes have were brought about into the financial sector, into the banking sector, fintech, the parallel currency along with the regular currency. There is some digital currency called as cryptocurrency. Cryptocurrency will be able to will help the business to take up other transactions digitally. Utilize this cryptocurrency, not utilizing, not affecting their present cash balances. So additional activities or transactions can be taken up with the help of cryptocurrencies. And then blockchain is a digital ledger, centralized data repository. It is a digital ledger or it's a centralized data repository which will help multiple users to get connected to that in terms of sharing the data with others. Data protection is in its highest form. So that is about digital technology, disruptive technology, and the examples of disruptive technology. You should be reading about articles on this disruptive technology. See, because this is what is the future. So when you join the organization, you also will be working in this environment where technology has taken over to a great extent. So if you are not aware of those changes, if you cannot work in that environment, then it becomes difficult for you to survive in the organization. So now it is important. See, people, all those who are aspiring to join the organizations have to have one idea, one piece of information with you, that see, technology has already started taking over many roles, is going to drastically take over many roles in the coming few years. See, it is anticipated. There is a report, McKinsey has come out with a report stating that round about 60 to 70% of the roles at the entry level now will be taken over by technology. So because of automation, because of the disruption. See, things are not done manually. Most of the work at the entry level, which is the nature of the work at the entry level, is all regular repetitive. So um, that regular repetitive work can be done much better with the help of technology, because once this set of instructions are given, and that will be taken over, that will be taken up by automation in much effective manner. Just now few minutes back, in the first half, we've discussed about automation. So the speed with which they do the work, the machines do the work, is quite high. Output generated is very high. So there are advantages of using technology, automation, etc. See, there were days when the financial statements were prepared manually. It would take days together for them to just balance their financial statements. See, it was not instantly generated. Now nobody is doing manually. Many organizations have these accounting softwares. A transaction just has to be entered into the system, and everything. Now what is the treatment of each transaction will appear in the appropriate place. The software will take care of that. See, nobody, I mean, the efforts are not now needed to spend a lot of time just to ensure that the transactions are posted appropriately, properly in its place, and then balancing of that need not spend many days or long time looking into that. Now everything is done on these systems. The systems take care of that. Likewise, many roles are now no longer needed to be taken up by human beings. The human effort is not needed, because machines are able to do, systems are able to do in much better manner. So if the entry level is like that, so the next level is the middle level. Middle level, at which we see that the decision making starts from that level. If you have to find a place for yourself in the organization, don't think about entry level. Now, at least from your generation onwards, it will not be available to enter into the organization at the entry level. So you need to have some qualifications, some skills have to be acquired by you, so that you are capable enough to take decisions. So at the decision making level, see, the disruption is not so high. um, Still the decisions are taken by human beings to a great extent. We will be discussing about artificial intelligence in the coming few minutes. We will be talking about that. See, artificial intelligence is now able to help the human beings in terms of decision making, but it is not to that extent that the roles are taken over by technology. So that is what is the idea you should have very clear with you, that Don't think that with basic qualifications you will enter into the organization, you will work hard later on and then grow. Entry itself has become very difficult. So please take up your professional programs very seriously, study well, acquire the skills of decision making, enter into the corporates, and with those skills at the decision making level. Okay. What are the potential benefits of disruptive technology? Potential benefits of disruptive technology: better use of data, frictionless customer experience. So, because able to understand the customer's expectations very easily, so frictionless customer experience, more personalization of products and services. The customization can be taken up because they are now all connected very easily through customer relationship management. Customers are connected to the suppliers through the technology. See, the data of the customer is all stored. See, the buying pattern of the customers are all available to the supplier easily. The supplier will be able to understand the buying pattern, the requirements, the changes, what are his expectations. Everything is very easy by the supplier to understand. So understand about the customers expectations. So accordingly the services, products and services can be provided to the customers. More personalization of products and services, that is possible. The lack of a physical presence. See, now no one needs to be present physically. It all can be done remotely also. Remotely also, to have an access, it is possible. The lack of physical presence, need not be physically present there to take up a transaction. Access to cheap capital to fund growth. Okay, so that see, availability, because everything is now being transparent. Okay, how the transactions are being taken up through technology, etc. So attracting capital also is, it has become easy. So access to cheap capital to fund growth also has become possible because of disruptive technology. Okay, just give me one minute. 1 minute, I'll be connected. Just a minute. The next topic is cloud technology. So, what's cloud technology? We have started with this note about big data. Data that is captured has become big in size, as big that it cannot be stored on the storage devices of the organization. Then where would they be stored? Because this data is crucial, important for decision making. The seller would be able to take better decisions if more amount of data is available. So, but then the size has become big, so as big that it cannot be stored. So then what is the alternative? When it cannot be stored, um, where would it be stored? So there are external service providers to help, or to provide that space where the data can be stored. for us also, we also store data. Now these external service providers provide the space to store the data on the internet. See, these service providers are um, available on the internet to where they provide the space, as much space which is utilized they can pay amount to that. But otherwise, if these storage devices have to be purchased, the number of storage devices that would be purchased, um, as many to that extent, the capital amount, the investment amount will increase. But here, when they use the facility of storing the data on the cloud, as much space they use to that extent only they will have to pay the charges. The amount would be paid only for the services or the space that they utilize. So it is more economical for the organizations. We also use the cloud technology. We have all these Google Drives, etc. So the many at a personal level also, we have so many drives wherein we are now able to save the data on the cloud. Okay, with the um, not utilizing the space that is available on our personal devices like mobile phone, laptop, computer, etc. Instead of using the space on this on these devices, this data can now be very comfortably stored on the cloud. Okay, also there are advantages. We can always have an easy access to the data that is stored on the cloud. So that is the cloud technology, cloud computing, what we call it as, where the data which is now the concept of it is because the big data has become big in size. Big data which has to be stored cannot be stored all of them on the storage devices. So therefore they are now stored on the cloud, um, which is wherein the space is provided by external service providers. The data is stored on the cloud, and as much space as is used by the business, will the service charges also will be paid accordingly for the space that is used. Okay, so then therefore it becomes cost effective for them. What are the potential benefits of cloud technology? Okay, first thing is sharing data. See, the best possible example what we can give about the cloud technology is during this lockdown, almost all software companies have run in the regular normal manner. Even if the employees did not visit the physical location of their offices, also still the work did not stop. They have continued that way. How did it become possible without being present at the physical location? See, the data of these companies all was stored on the cloud. So cloud, when the data was stored, the access was given to multiple users. See, all the employees had an access to the cloud. So collaboration was possible. Multiple users were able to get connected to the cloud. They were able to process the data and update the data on the cloud. So that's how, even when for uh, some of them are still not open, asking the employees to come to the office, the work is still being carried on from home only. So more than 2 years if they are working from home, it means to say that the advantage of using cloud technology has brought about those kind of advantages. See, the data sharing has become very easy. Anything which is stored on on the cloud can easily be retrieved. Okay, it becomes very easy to retrieve the data, process the data. Multiple collaborators can get connected to the data, to the cloud. Okay, they can be processing simultaneously also. That facility is also there. Then it has become more competitive in the sense there is cost advantages that can be realized. Mm, need not spend a huge investment in acquiring storage devices, but rather um, it can be I mean that facility can be used at cost effective rates. Okay, more competitive. easier scaling. Anything which they want to increase the space also can be increased. As much as they want to increase, they can increase. Reduced maintenance, they don't need not look into that. See, the maintenance part of it, to store in the storage devices, taking care of that, all that is not required. Now the data that is stored on the cloud is safe, and the protection is also safe, the security is safe, confidentiality part of it also is taken care of it. Okay, reduced maintenance, backups and disaster recovery. Like sometime back, few minutes back, we have discussed that. See, in case of the IT, there is a need for taking the backup and storing it in a remote location. Now that requirement is not there. See, in any case, if there is anything which happens also, no need to store the data in a remote location as a backup plan. So that is not needed. See, even when employees are restricted from entering into the physical locations of their office, also now they do not require a backup, because all that data is very securely stored on the cloud. Fine. Therefore, backups and disaster recovery, that is dealt very effectively with the help of cloud computing. Better security, okay, because the service providers do provide better security for the data from being damaged, or any kind of uh, damage caused, or that is taken care of. Of course, theoretically, when we study, we talk about it, but there always should be an apprehension about, because the service provider is an external person, so the confidentiality is a big issue, the security is a big issue, because anything to do with, because it is not someone internal that they will take care of the data, it is always a external service provider. Therefore, we see that the security part of it is always a big question. When we talk about the limitations or the issues related, or the risks that are present with cloud technology, we need to talk about in that aspect also, because someone not from the internal environment is taking care of the protection of the security of the data, so which should be looked at as an issue. Any kind of a damage, the confidentiality issue also can arise. Any kind of a damage can happen because of using the cloud computing services and storing the data on the cloud. So that way, we need to be probing into that situation. That skepticism should always be there, whether it is actually secure or not, whether data is properly protected or not. Protected in the sense that no way the data that is stored will get damaged, some kind of destruction would happen. See, that is data protection. See, with data, hackers are there, intruders are there, some virus attacks can happen, multiple things are there. So proper firewall should be there, protection should be provided, etc. Whether the service provider is able to take up that all or not is one issue there. So you need to have that skepticism attitude and talk about what are the disadvantages of cloud technology. Okay, how much time is there? Okay, we will be able to take it up. Artificial intelligence. See, I think only artificial intelligence we will be able to take up in the remaining time. The rest of the syllabus can be taken up in the next class. I do not know when is the next class. Whenever it is, see. Otherwise, I understand. I did not get an official information, but otherwise, I understand that it is tomorrow afternoon. If it is there tomorrow afternoon, we'll meet tomorrow afternoon. Otherwise, we'll meet whenever is the next class. Done. The next concept is artificial intelligence. See, when we were talking about automation was assigning the regular repetitive work to machines, because machines can do regular work very effectively at great speed, because machines can only understand a set of instructions, but they cannot think by themselves to carry on with the work. Decision making is not possible by machines. Machines just understand the algorithm that is fed into the machines. They understand the set of instructions, carry out the work based on the set of instructions. Okay, so for every kind of a software there is a um, algorithm. There are set of instructions that are fed into the system, and these software operates in that particular manner. See, if there is some machine which is assigned with the task, machine can only perform in that particular manner. It cannot think beyond that and take decisions and implement things. That is not possible by machines. Human beings still have um, uh, that upper hand over machines in terms of they can take decisions, um, customized decisions depending on the situation, which is not possible for machines. Artificial intelligence is that area of computer science that emphasizes the creation of intelligent machines that work and react like human beings. See, it is an effort made to make the um, machines think and act like human beings. There's one Charlie Chaplin movie, Modern Times. I assuming that most of you must have watched. Anyone who has watched Modern Times Charlie Chaplin movie, wherein they devise, anyone who's watched, you will be able to connect to that situation very quickly. Anyone who's watched Charlie Chaplin's Modern Times movie, this is also no response. Okay. I don't know whether you watched because it's an old movie. I'm not sure whether you watched it or not, but it's generally there on the channels, television channels. Okay. If it is there in any other platform, also you please you can always look into that. Okay, so what's the point here is, see, there is a machine which they devise which can feed breakfast to the people. That machine can serve breakfast. They have multiple courses wherein one after the other has to be fed. At one point something misses, and the whole thing is, see, it is shown in a very hilarious manner, but that's the reality, because machine cannot understand, it cannot adjust, accommodate itself to the changes. So one point which misses there, the entire feeding of breakfast to the human beings or the people there becomes a disaster. It is looked at as a comedy or a hilarious act which is seen, but that's the reality of machines not able to the understand and react like human beings. If something is missed, we can very easily adjust to the changed environment, which is not possible with machines. But now, instead of only assigning tasks which are regular, repetitive to the machines, now there is an effort to make the machines also take decisions like human beings. They are created in such a way that they are now able to work and react like human beings. Okay, that is about artificial intelligence. There is a definition from Kaplan and Hindley describes AI as, it is the system's ability to correctly interpret external data, to learn from such data, and to use those learnings to achieve specific goals and tasks through flexible adaptation. So machines are now able to learn from past experiences, learn from data, apply that learning to different situations that arise in future, and adjust itself according to the changed environment. This is all done by machines. So machines are designed in such a way that now they are able to learn from past experiences, from the past data, apply that knowledge, that learning to situations that arise in the future, and fulfill the goals. That is the concept of AI. an effort about how machines can act like human beings. That is AI, artificial intelligence. Under see, artificial intelligence and machine learning. We see machine learning is one thing, supervised learning, unsupervised learning, and reinforcement learning. Okay. Maybe I'll do one aspect and then we can wind up the class. um, what is machine learning? See, machine learning is a subset of artificial intelligence where effectively AI computer code is built. AI computer code is built to mimic how the human brain works. So, machine learning, now the algorithm or the code is built into the machine. Because of that, the machine will now be able to think like the human, how the human brain works, able to mimic or imitate the human brain. So the way the humans respond and react, now the machine also is now able to do that. So machine learning is the algorithm or the code is fed into the machine such that the machine is now able to interpret or understand how the human brain works and also learn from that. Okay. It essentially uses probability based on past experiences. So from the past experiences, the learning happens through data, events, and connections between events. So it is a learning from the past experiences. That's one point. The second point of is the computer then applies this learning to a given situation to give fact-driven, plausible outcome. So applies that knowledge, applies the knowledge that is learned from the past experiences. From this past experience, whatever learning was done by the machine, it tries to use that learning to implement it in the future. Okay. If the conclusion the computer reaches turns out to be incorrect, this will act to add more experience. If it doesn't prove out to be correct, if it is not applicable for a future situation, that will be counted as another experience which the computer receives. So will act to add more experience and enhance its understanding further. So in future, the same mistake will not be repeated. So the machine is learning from the past experiences, and these experiences or these learnings are applied in future situations. It comes out with some suggestion for a problem that arises, and if it suits, it's fine. If the solution is not applicable in that situation, that also will be counted as an experience, and then use that and apply it in future. Okay, that is about machine learning. We still have, as part of ai as part of AI, we have to learn about what is the meaning of supervised learning, unsupervised learning, and reinforcement learning. So, day to day life experiences also we can talk about in terms of AI and then discuss it. I will do this part of it in the next class. I don't know when is the next class. Whenever is the next class, when we are meeting again, we will discuss about AI, the other elements of digitalization, IoT, mobile technology, other aspects of it. Some of the technologies which are not discussed in the syllabus also may appear in the examination as part of a case study. Because see, in one of the past question papers, there's some technology called as RF ID, radio frequency interactive devices. Um, so, but see, any new thing which is added, um, a brief introduction or brief explanation about that particular thing will also be included in the case study. It is not that randomly something completely new will be asked, but I mean to say here is there is lot of emphasis there on um, in the examination, expectation from the candidate that the candidate understands technology very well, apply technology in decision making in the organization, come out with different possible plausible outcome solutions or something. So you learn that basically you have to learn the technology part of it very, very, very well. Okay. Then your answers will be based on the knowledge which you have related to technology. Okay. Um, okay. Then any doubts? Where will you say? Any doubts? Anybody has any doubts? Anything? Okay. On that note, let's wind up the session. I'll meet you in the next class, whenever it is. Okay. Good day.